Hello friends, welcome to another video of Let's Take Food, which is your weekly dose into the world of processed food. In the last video, we discussed what vegan diet is and how it can impact health of a person positively. And if you haven't seen that video, I have added the link somewhere here. And now in today's video, we will have a look at another argument against vegan food, which is the amount of protein and its bioavailability, for which every animal product lover targets the vegetarian consumer over and over again. And this somehow has led to the development of another market segment in the food industry, which is called alternative proteins. So alternative proteins is a general term that covers plant-based and food technology alternatives to animal proteins. Just like in 2014, we Indians chose an alternative to a corrupt and non-functioning government, thinking and dreaming of good days, irrespective of the fact that they arrived or not.
Wow, Modi ji, wow. Wow.
Similarly, people around the world, they are choosing alternatives to animal proteins for the reason that I mentioned in my previous video, whose link is still present up here. And then alternative proteins are not something new for a vegetarian who has been fulfilling his protein needs from plant and dairy sources. But currently the products in this segment, they have moved much beyond the realm of plants. So in this video, we will have a look at all those sources which are included in alternative proteins and why as a consumer it matters to you. So without any further ado, let's get started. Now, most of the supporters of veganism and vegetarianism, they would say one thing, that if you see how meat is processed in a factory, you would never eat it again. And if you have a look at this video, then you will understand how dreadful experience it can be. Therefore, it is not difficult to comprehend why a consumer who has seen such videos would shift to alternative proteins to satisfy his ethical wants. But what options are really available when we talk about alternative proteins? So first in line is plant sources, which include soy, pea, oats, nuts. And if you look at the composition of vegan protein powders available in the market, then you will mainly find soy and pea as the major ingredient in those powders. And then comes fungi, which produces mycoproteins. And those consumers which are familiar with a brand called Corn, they would know that in that brand, it doesn't use any soy or any kind of pea protein. It uses mycoproteins as a texture providing agent for their meat alternatives. Further, the research into insect protein is also increasing, and if you are living in North America, I think you would have seen several products which are containing insect proteins. And then these researchers have concluded that the environmental impact of producing insect protein is much less than that of an animal protein, and then the feed to protein conversion ratio for the insects is also very high. However, the higher cost of these proteins is limiting its consumer acceptance. And then comes the last source, which still hasn't crossed the lab barrier, which is the cultured meat. And don't be bothered by the term, because it simply means growing animal tissue from a cell in artificial environment. And then I was able to find out this article, whose link I'm adding in the description, which contains the name of all the companies around the world who are working in development of and commercialization of cultured meat. And once you go in the link, you will find out the majority of the companies are in America, based in Silicon Valleys. And then food technology has led to great development in this field of alternative proteins and has made several innovative products available to the consumers. If you talk about some of the early developments in this field, then one of the first meat imitator would be seitan, which is nothing but wheat gluten. But with further development, texturization was made possible, and it was carried out using soy, due to which we were able to obtain fibrous network similar to that in chicken and meat. But still, the taste wasn't cracked yet. But now, with the companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Burgers and many more, they have been able to use the texturized protein from soy, pea and oats along with ingredients like soy leg hemoglobin to nail the taste of a meat burger. And here again, some of you will still argue that the cost is little higher than meat counterparts. But the simple answer to that is available in microeconomics, according to which as the production increases, the cost will come down. But for that, higher demand is needed, which basically means that these non-environmental degrading products, they will cost less as more and more consumers adopt them. Okay, so now let's have a look at some of the current drawbacks of alternative proteins. Now, I've already mentioned the cost of these alternative proteins, but one more thing that is worth mentioning is the fat content of the meat alternatives. We all are aware that most of the products that we consume, their taste is highly influenced by the amount of fat contained in it. Therefore, while making meat alternatives, the food companies, in order to match the taste, they either have the same amount of fat or even more as compared to the meat counterparts. And the same thing it applies to the sodium content as well, due to which these meat alternatives are frequently scrutinized by the consumers. And then they also contain additives like binders and emulsifiers in order to hold water inside the product and to keep the components together. And if we talk about the proteins that are available from the insects, they can contain chitin, which basically can affect the protein digestibility. And then the similar problem it exists with plant protein sources, which contain anti-nutritional compounds like phytates. And then lastly, coming to the culture meat, since the commercialization has not happened yet, therefore the environmental impact at large scale is still unclear. And then since the serum is obtained from the animals, this whole culture meat is still not animal free. And now if you're interested in knowing what companies are working in this alternative protein segment in India, then you can have a look at this article. The link is in the description. And then there's one more organization which is worth mentioning when we are talking about India. It is the GFI Indian chapter, which is working towards the development of businesses in this alternative protein segment. And therefore it can no longer be said that alternative proteins is not meant for veggie India. And there's one more reason why alternative protein is here to stay. If we have a look at the global alternative protein market, it is currently $2.2 billion US, which if we compare to a $2.7 trillion US meat market, then we find it to be marginal. So therefore, I know that many of the entrepreneurs among us, they would have an eye out for this. So okay guys, that's all for today. I hope you are well and you are following social distancing norms wherever you are. And if you like this video, do not forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel. And before you guys go, I have just one request to make, that if you guys have a topic about which you would like me to make a video, then you can say that in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. So see you in the next one.